we bought a piece of land for $7,000 and sold it for $25,000, and then we bought another piece of land for $15,000 and sold it for $40,000.
You got to be careful though and do some risk adjustment. If you're at like a 20% chance that you're able to get this big rezone through, you still want to cover your butt.
I'll have the mentality of like, we're stupid. We need to change this and this and this. And Ishii can be like, dude, we're in the top 0.01% of people.
I know every time it's like on the weekly Zoom calls, Morgan's like, our business is so up. And I'm like, Ishii, what's wrong? And he's like, dude, nothing's wrong. Oh, what's up, gentlemen? So today we got Morgan, top G, tallest man in real estate, and Ishii, the most handsome man in real estate, today on the pod. So, what's up, dude? How are y'all?
Good. Thanks for having us, Chandler. You're also handsome and tall and good guy. Good guy.
Yeah, extremely tall. Taller than Morgan for sure. Not even close.
Good real estate.
Dude, Ishii, where are you at, bro? Where are you headed?
I'm in Miami, Florida. I'm headed to Berlin, Germany for the holidays. Going to visit my grandma. She's 89 years old, and she used to always come visit us, but now she's too old, so we go over there.
Nice. That's pretty sweet. I got to go to Germany. I'm actually thinking of going there somewhere over in the Alps in March. Any recs?
Honestly, bro, I've never skied or snowboarded in the Alps whatsoever. I don't know.
Well, maybe I'll just go surf in California with Morgan. But gentlemen, I guess give us a rundown of what you guys do for real estate and kind of what your business looks like as of right now.
Ishii, let them know.
Yeah, so we're in a little bit of a transitionary period right this second. We're moving from kind of like a wholesaling and flipping operation to trying to just really double down on development. But we started in March of 2021, March 15th, 2021. We moved to Nashville and we started wholesaling real estate. And from there, just really cold called like crazy, tried to scale up as quickly as we could, started hiring cold callers, started hiring other texters, LMs, and then got to a point this year where we were doing pretty consistently 3 to 4 deals a month. We did 5 deals a month in November with average spreads kind of in like the 30 to 50K range, depending if you include flips or if you're just talking wholesales. So that's been basically what we're up to. And, obviously we're in your mastermind group, got a ton of value from that. And now we're just kind of trying to move more towards development and doing kind of a higher margin, lower volume business, because we're seeing there's kind of there's a fork in the road, and we can either go high volume or high margin, and we want to go high margin.
Yeah, I know that you guys are in Nashville, which is like a super interesting market. I have a couple of their buddies there. And I know when we first met, you guys were showing me like how these land deals where you guys are just making massive rips on them. So like, what's like your plan with like the bigger margin deals? Like, what does that look like? Is it development? Is it just flipping land and entitlement? Like, what are you guys planning to do with that?
What we're most excited about is development. So we have one under contract right now that is first it's an entitlement play and then there'll be development. We've got, flips under contract. We've got like huge flips, like we got a 9-unit flip under contract. So we still are kind of all over the place, but what I think we're most excited about, and I'd be curious what Morgan has to say about this, but we're most excited about like ground up new builds.
Did you just get your GC license, right, Ishii?
Right.
What about you, Morgan? What are you most excited about? Like, is it the ground up as well?
Yeah, like where my mindset's at, like Chandler, like you guys do a really good job of like teaching actual like business principles and how to scale and how to put systems in place. And I think what you and Gino do really well is like actual like business training. But for us, like when kind of talking internally, like our desire is not to scale a wholesaling business. Like I got into real estate. I think how like most people get into real estate is like they either read Rich Dad Poor Dad, or they want a house hack, or they want rentals, or they want like passive income. Like that's why I got into real estate. And so like lately where my head's been at is like I don't believe real estate is like meant to be wholesaled, right? So like I want to get into like keeping rentals and doing developments and just like having a deeper understanding of like raising money. Ishii getting his contractor's license is huge for us. So like what I'm really excited about is like getting into these deals and like building things and holding things and like the tax write-offs and the rentals and just like kind of taking that next step. And we feel like for that, it's like building, doing like value add real estate, taking stuff down, holding stuff. Like that's like kind of where my brain's been at.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting thing. I've actually never heard anyone say that they see real estate as not being something that needs to be wholesaled, which I've never like thought about it
Yeah.
as like how do you see real estate being played?
Yeah, like
But it's interesting. Like why do you believe that real estate's meant to be a value add play?
or I'm not even necessarily. I feel like real estate is meant to be held. Like in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
real estate's meant to be held. Like real estate's not meant to be wholesaled. So like, what's the biggest benefits of real estate is I feel like a tenant or someone else like paying down the mortgage and like
Mm-hmm.
getting a bunch of tax write-offs and like holding things and like having your wealth grow like without a ton of your like time and attention.
Mm-hmm.
But Felipe, this guy in our market, shout out to Felipe, he said something important too though. He said wholesaling is super important because wholesaling is like the dirt, right? And the dirt which like everything grows from, right? It's like the dirt or the soil of like finding the deal. So like wholesaling is super awesome and super important, but like that's kind of how I'm thinking of it. Is like the first piece of the puzzle is like find the deal, find the dirt. But I feel like Ishi and I are really good at that. I feel we're strong at that. And now the next thing is like, like building the thing or whatever in this analogy, like building the plant, harvesting the plant.
Plant the tree.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, harvesting the tree. And
Yeah.
lately I've been feeling like I know how to find the deal, but there's parts of like building the tree that I don't know how to do. So that's where my head's at is like let's kind of like keep cooking this thing.
I also think too, like you really like the aspect of like dealing with the physical like product too.
Yeah, it's
Whereas
just a
like
little
not
more.
everyone cares about that.
Yeah, I just feel like it's a little more exciting too. And the other thing is like we both moved from California to Tennessee to do deals. And I know a lot of people do virtual, and so I'm not like knocking virtual. Like there's obviously people that make more money than me doing virtual deals, but like I hate being in the office. So like if I can get out, I think Ishi and I both like much prefer to get out of the house and like drive around in the car and like kind of like walk some properties. Like that's the most like fun we have. I think Ishi, you'd agree.
Yeah, like I think there's some magic to like going and seeing the deal, and like for instance, like this property that hopefully we're locking up here in the next hour or so that an agent brought to Morgan. Like I went over there last night with my buddy at like 8 p.m. Like found the key, and I'm walking around this house and I'm seeing like okay, like this is how much this is going to cost. This is how much this is going to cost. This is how we can like build an extra pad in the back. This is how we can like add a wall here, turn this into a duplex. Like I'm looking at this single family home thinking how we can turn it into an illegal triplex, cash flow like 1,500, $2,000 a month on it, and get a free pad. Like that's what's like cool to me about real estate. Not like we can do 10 deals a month. We can do 20, 30K wholesales a month. It's like, dude, like, come on, man.
Yeah, we're a little tapped off. We're a little tapped off that right now, I think.
I think so tell me about this deal that you're gonna turn into an illegal triplex, Ishi. What's the plan? What's the vision?
I mean, it's just
Yeah,
like
illegal's a strong word, by the way, Ishi. Like, can we just not say the word illegal? like, come on.
All right. Non-permitted. Non-permitted.
Just call it permitted.
All right. It's going to be
He just passed a GC license test, dude. He's got to abide by the law.
Yeah.
It's going to be
he's held to a different
How about
standard,
how about say it may or may not be up to code?
Yeah. It's a single family home that can comfortably house 3 different families, and it may or may not be completely up to code. We'll see.
But it might be.
It might be. Yeah.
You never know. Who knows what you guys shake hands with the district.
Yeah.
Officials, I know Morgan's just going to grease some hands over there in Nashville. So that's how things work.
Yep.
Okay. So talk to me, like, so you guys want to plant the tree. You already done the dirt, how to wholesale. What's like, cause I think a lot of people get stuck in this. They're like, I'm wholesaling. Either they got to pick 2 routes. Like you said, you got to build a business, build a wholesale business, not just like wholesale to hustle, or you got to become like, it's like more so like a real estate mogul, I'd say is like the other option. In my opinion. So you guys are going the mogul route where you're going the reason the cranes are in the sky is because of Morgan and Nishi. You guys are going to be building high rises, whatever you guys are going to do. How do you go from doing, small, I mean, you guys have done like duplex, triplex, quads, just smaller deals to doing these ground up deals and some of the bigger plays that you're going to do? Like, what's the kind of the first steps that y'all are taking?
Well, it's not like it's not like, hey, I'm Morgan, I've done all these huge deals. Like, we have some bigger deals under contract. We own some land free and clear that will be like solid, like mid 6-figure deals. But like, we're not even like the full experts on that just yet. But I would say the first step is always finding the deal. Like, no matter what real estate play, like, I know you can, like, I guess, like, raise the capital first, but I'm definitely a firm believer that, like, the first step is finding the deal.
Yeah. Well, like finding the deal, but you've also done some due diligence on what happens when you do get the deal. Like, you're not an idiot,
Right.
So like, how do you go about like even learning and getting your feet wet? Because like, okay, for example, we kind of like thought about doing some of the same things. We put like this 250 acre property under contract. Really had no idea what we were doing with entitlements or whatever. And once you get into the process, you kind of start talking to people and you start to figure out like, all right, well, we got to figure out what the zoning is and what's the future use and who's maybe going to buy this and like what's the highest and best use for the land. Like, how do you guys like go about like learning any of that, like just to have the confidence to put those deals under contract?
Ishi, can I keep going? So yeah, another thing is like you have to understand the zoning, and like Ishi and I both recently just learned like all like your permits and like the process of building something, like it starts with zoning and ends with zoning, right? So it goes to zoning and then codes, and then if it's in a historic overlay, like, so there's a bunch of different departments, but everything starts with like zoning. Another benefit of doing like in-person real estate, here's another thing. I know like probably a lot of like virtual people are going to watch this. Like, how I believe real estate's not meant to be wholesaled, like I also believe like real estate's not meant to be done virtually. Like, so Ishi and I do 85% of our deals in Davidson County, central Nashville, and only like 15% Rutherford County, like touching a different county. But like, if you do all your deals in the same market, then like you kind of only have to understand like your zoning code once, right? And like everything, like and then once you've looked at 100 or 200 deals, like you can more like quickly understand the zoning code. So another big benefit of doing like in-person deals. So yeah, like understanding your zoning, understanding like what's going on around it, like having like a surveyor on your team, like maybe knowing someone down at codes. And the other thing Ish and I think have done a pretty good job of is like having people around you that are smarter than us. So like we have a bunch of friends and contacts that like they've already built like 20, 30, 100 unit developments. They've pumped out a ton of single family homes. Like if we find a deal, like we can JV with a builder. So I think that's huge. It's just like having smarter people around you. It's like piggyback off them, like use their architect, use their surveyor, and kind of like just slot in with someone smarter than you. I think is huge.
I think you kind of have to do that for the first one. Otherwise, because like, like on these deals, like the risk is a lot higher and the reward's higher too, but you can definitely lose your ass on some of these deals if you don't do it the right way.
Right.
Going further on that, like basically like right now we're JVing 2 deals with Paul Simiu. Shout out to Paul Simiu, like super awesome guy. You can look him up on Instagram. But like he's one of these guys where it's like he's just a couple years ahead of us and he's super smart. He just like knows so much about zoning, about building. Like he's built a ton of stuff ground up. He's got his license. Like he's just a beast. So like we'll bring guys like him. Like we've brought him a bunch of deals, made him a ton of money. Like we try to like offer him value and like bring him stuff and then like JV stuff with him. And then like just ask him a million questions while we're like JVing these deals, and like guys like him, like they're nice enough that like they're not in a scarcity mindset. They're like in this abundance mindset where it's like they're already rich. They know there's plenty of deals to go around. Like they'll just tell you everything they know, like for free if you're like doing deals together and bringing them deals.
Yeah. How do you? I know Morgan. I noticed that you're very good at this. How do you go about building these relationships with people who are strategic partners or potential strategic partners?
Bring them a deal.
Yeah. If you bring someone a deal, that's like the ultimate, because you talk to any real estate person, you, Gino, like everyone. It's like you can always bring somebody a deal. So like we've done a couple deals with Paul, like we've done a couple deals with like other developers in town. The first thing you can do is bring them a deal. But in terms of just like rizzing them, like everybody likes flattery, you know. And no matter what I've also noticed too, it's like even if you're rich and awesome, like your internal thoughts are probably like, I could be better, I could be more awesome, I could do this. So I feel like if you can like genuinely flatter someone and just be like, look, like you're super sick, and like give them some compliments, like as long as it's authentic, that's like a huge networking tip. Because even these rich guys are probably like, well, I'm not that awesome compared to Grant Cardone. So if you can just be like, hey, like you're super sick, like everyone loves to hear that like they're super awesome. So I try to
Yeah,
do that,
I
and
noticed that.
I do that in like a genuine way, like I really believe it.
Yeah, I think that's because you genuinely do think people are awesome. Like I noticed that at the event we had in Denver for Level Up, and like when someone would present, you'd be like, dude, like you're like literally like this is incredible. Like I don't know how you dialed it in this tight. And then you'd ask your question, and then like, the answer you get is like a little bit more. You could just like see them like kind of open up. It's funny like watching it from a third party, but I think it's a very interesting thing that most people don't do.
Yeah, it's just about being genuine too. But like, yeah, like I remember like Tyler. What's Tyler's last name?
Vincent,
Like Tyler Vincent does his presentation. Like he is such a stud. It's like Tyler, like you're so sick. Like I can't believe it. Boom, ask a question. Same thing with Ray Rodriguez. It's like, I mean, it's that's just my type of guy. Is a Ray Rodriguez.
yeah,
Like that's all I can say about it.
Yeah, for like a guy like Morgan or I, like a super like a guy who's really successful in real estate in like whatever niche he's in, like you, for instance. Like we just think we think you're so sick because like you're so successful in real estate, like in whatever way. Like whether it's you who's like a build the business, like scaling, wholesaling guy, like we think that's super sick. Whether it's like a Felipe who's like a like rentals, like turn your like single families into duplexes, like cash flow rentals guy, like or Ray Rodriguez, like an on market guy, or Paul, like a builder guy. Like we just like that's like those are our types of guys.
yeah. I think it's I think that you guys just give off good energy, and I think people attract like people are attracted to the energy they want to be around, which is 100% true. Which brings me to another thing that I think you guys are both like hard chargers. So like, how do you guys deal with that as being partners, being both hard chargers?
What's a hard charger?
Like, I think Ishi knows what that is.
No, I don't. I was gonna ask the same question. That's why I was laughing.
Dude, okay, what's a hard charger? How do I describe this? I need an urban dictionary like definition. Now just say like very like in your face, like go, 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 like get shit done, don't waste any time. Like that's what you're both very tight, like that kind of personality.
Well, you want to have a partner who's not like that?
No, I'm just saying like
Seems like that'd be
y'all
pretty like
both.
frustrating, wouldn't it? If your partner was like, yeah, I don't know, like thinking like maybe I'm just gonna chill today, like we can get that thing under contract
Well,
tomorrow.
okay, my outside looking in, not like chill, like he's a worthless piece of shit, but more like because I'm like extremely optimistic, right? And if I'm with like another optimistic person, it's just like, dude, next thing we know, we're on fucking Mars, and then like, how are we gonna get there?
No, Morgan's not optimistic. Morgan's super conservative. I'm not optimistic.
Oh,
like Morgan, yeah, like Morgan called me last night. He's like, "Nah, man, like
I was like blowing up two of our. We have like
Yeah.
two like solid deals under contract. I'm like blowing up deals. I'm like, dude, like we need a price reduction. Like these are tight. Like I don't know.
I never would have guessed that Morgan was pessimistic.
Yeah, I'm way more.
Definitely, I would say conservative. I wouldn't say pessimistic.
I can be pessimistic at times. I can be pessimistic at times too. I do think it's a balance, but yeah, I think
you have to have that.
Yeah, there is a balance of like the way Ishi and I talk about it is like sometimes I'll come into the office and I'll be like, dude, we're dumb. Like we need to change strategy. Like we're dumb. And Ishi's more like we can have the exact same amount of money in the business bank account and own the same amount of properties, have the same portfolio. And I'll be like, I'll have the mentality of like, we're stupid. We need to change this and this and this. Like we're dumb. And Ishi can be like, dude, we're in the top 0.01% of people. Like we're so rich. Like, have you seen the stats on it? It's like we're rich. So we balance each other out in that way.
Dude, I can see Ishi saying that. I know every time it's like on the weekly Zoom calls, I'll be there and I see Morgan sit down, open his laptop, and he goes, Ishi, get over here. And then Ishi like walks over. He's like, dude, what the fuck am I doing here, bro? And then like we're on the call together or whatever.
Right.
It's just funny. But yeah, Morgan's like, our business is so fucked up. And I'm like, Ishi, what's wrong? And he's like, dude, nothing's wrong, bro.
Come
Yeah,
on, man.
we're like that usually.
That's funny. But okay, so you guys are doing a bunch of deals. You also, I saw on your Instagram, Morgan, that you just sold 2 unbuildable lots. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, this was in 2021 or 2022, but yeah, maybe a quick like tip I could share with people is that like an unbuildable lot is still has value. Um, so it can be like heavy equipment storage or like some people just jump on stuff, especially as the price becomes lower. And another thing in real estate is when you talk about like the value of properties, it's not exactly like linear and like things are compressed as the prices get lower. Like when you talk about things worth like less than $50,000, like people kind of want to just jump on those. And so as the prices get smaller, like more people have that amount of money and become more interested. So
Mm-hmm.
we bought a piece of land for 7,000 and sold it for 25, and then we bought another piece of land for 15 and sold it for 40. We bought another piece of land for 5 and sold it for 10, and maybe a couple others. But yeah, basically, if you have land in the flood zone or there's some hairy thing about your land, like there still is a buyer for it, especially in like a downtown market. So like in San Francisco, for example, if you could find like a 500-foot like obscure weird piece of land that you can't build a house on, like I guarantee someone will still buy 500 square feet in a place like San Francisco or like a large like metropolitan city. Um, yeah, like people just want stuff, especially at low price points. Like people just buy stuff. So that's a good tip. And if anyone has
like,
any,
I just want to own land in San Francisco.
yeah,
It's
like
kind of like a clout play.
yeah, exactly. So and the other thing is, Ishi and I will buy that stuff ourselves. So if someone has any like unbuildable lands, like send that to me. Like we buy that stuff.
I've never heard anyone doing that. We actually did have one lot. It wasn't in a downtown market. It was like on the lake. It was like for like $5,000, and some dude wanted to buy it for like $8,000 so he could like drive his golf cart over it.
Exactly.
Like that's weird, but hey.
Yeah, we have one more piece of land under contract right now that's almost an acre in Nashville, but it doesn't have any frontage, so it's landlocked. And basically, like we have this landlocked play. In order to build something on it, we would need to either like own a house in front of it or have like an easement. None of the neighbors want to give us an easement, but the way we even found this piece of land is because we almost bought the house in front of it. The seller was like kind of unwilling to sell at the moment, but she's gonna want to sell eventually. So we closed on the land for cash, and I call the seller probably once every 3 months to say, hey, how's it going? How are you? Does Morgan let me know? And so when she wants to sell, I'm gonna be her first call because we own an acre behind her house. We can pay full market value for her house. So now it's like I'm the best, most well suited guy to buy her house. That'll be a great play for us when that pops. So also I would tell everybody to like look for those plays too. Like those are just solid plays.
And
so
like
how much did you buy that? Go ahead, Ishi.
No, you go ahead. Or 12 grand is what we bought it for.
12 grand. Dude, okay, like I think that's interesting. That's why you guys are real estate guys, because you're creative like that and you're thinking, a year down the road, and 12 grand is an investment to make another 100 later. Because with all that package together, I'm sure it's worth substantially more than you're going to buy that house for. Because you can probably build maybe 3 houses on that, 4 houses depending on the zoning.
It's zoned. Yeah, it's zoned for 2 right now, but who knows if we could increase the density and what all the options could be. The other thing too is like there's a housing shortage right now. So like eventually I think the cities will be much more favorable to like increase density and say, hey, if you say, hey, look, I'm just trying to build like affordable single family housing, like that's going to be a pretty reasonable pitch, especially going into like the 2030s. Like, they're not making any more land, especially downtown.
Especially like in Nashville. Like the thing about Nashville I think is so lucrative is it's like a big town. Like it's such like a small little area, but it's like growing extremely fast. Like I imagine it's if you buy anything that's like, there was a guy whose his like entire thesis was to draw a point in the middle of a major metro when it first like was made, like this is a long time ago, and just buy land 30 miles away from it. And then, but that's kind of where Nashville is like, it's so small relative. But anyways, go ahead, Ishi. I know you've been wanting to talk.
Yeah, that was reminding me of another deal we had that was another kind of one of these like buy it for cash, like value add long-term plays, which is like probably like the deal I'm most excited about right now. Which is basically like this 2 build with another 6 next door that we can probably buy too. We've got like a great relationship with the owner of that, and actually had it under contract in the past. And weren't quite able to piece it together, but like gave them our earnest money and like just have a great relationship. But it's this 2 build that doesn't have a road. But the guy next door, bless his heart, like he had 2 other lots and he needed to build his. So sorry for this background noise. I don't know how bad it is, but he needed to build his. So he built the road up all the way to his. So now it's like within owning that property for a year and a half, like its value has gone way, way up because the neighbor is super awesome and like
the neighbor spends the neighbor spends $100,000 to build like a street and some water utilities. So then like we hold the land for a year and it goes up in value $100,000 in 1 year. He spends like 88 grand on infrastructure that like we would have had to pay.
Yeah. And so basically your plan on that is to buy that guy's house whenever he sells it, or is it another neighbor?
No. Different. These are 2 separate properties.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Have you ever bought one of these pieces of land that kind of like I don't like the word speculative, but it kind of is a little bit more speculative, land deals, and like they haven't worked out exactly the way you thought it would?
No,
the dumbest thing, I think this is kind of funny. Like I would say the dumbest deal we ever bought was another piece. This was when we were brand new. So we had never done this like unbuildable land play. This was in 2021. We were just like really shooting from the hip, winging it. We hadn't signed up for a level up yet. And there's this piece of land that was really small with no frontage, like right next to a train. Like that should be the thumbnail for this video. It's like how horrible this piece of land was. And the sellers are like, we'll sell it to you for $5,000. And we were like, I don't know. It was tight. And then they were like, hey, like you signed it, you agreed to it. Like they kind of spooked us of like, we're going to write a really poor review about your business if you guys don't close on it. And Ishi and I were like, I guess we'll just buy it. So we buy it for $5,000. This is like the worst piece of land I could think of. Like train track, no frontage, everything was horrible. We just bought it. And we ended up selling it for $10,000. Long story short. So we buy it for $5,000.
Train tracks, utility easement, and train tracks, utility easement, like no frontage, like it was just garbage.
2,500 foot piece of land, but we just kind of bought it for no reason for $5,000, and someone else just bought it for no reason $10,000. I would say that's like that's the closest we've been to doing a bad deal.
And then I would say like we've lost some earnest money on some huge development plays that like we just couldn't quite string together, like some huge like entitlement things where it's like you have to front the money for the survey, you have to front the money for the site plan, then you take it to the council person and like council person changes their tune, or there's some loud people in the community that say like they really don't want any increase in density, and then like you locked it up too high when the market was higher and thinking you'd be able to get some increase in density, and then if you don't get your density increase, like it just doesn't pencil anymore. Yeah. That's happened to us twice.
Yeah, but we didn't close on that. We went out the earnest money, which we like basically agreed to let them have, and then go out the money for some surveys, and then go out some money for some engineering work. But we didn't close on it. We just the property's contingent on being able to build X units. It's not, we cancel.
Yeah, like 15, 20 grand or whatever.
Yeah.
For like
and I don't even really lose that much sleep over those, because I know with those, it's like if we do 10 of those, we are going to hit one of them, or probably more than one of them. And like when we do hit one of those, like it's going to be huge. Like when you hit the entitlement play, like it's like a 10x. It's oftentimes like a 10x multiple of value on the property. And we have another one of those under contract right now we can talk about. It's pretty sick.
Yeah, I think we should talk about that because I think it's a very misunderstood piece of real estate, and it's also really hard to like tangibly see what the value is on the other side. So like, walk us through an entitlement deal from like how you like kind of look at it from when you're underwriting it to like maybe the steps that you do throughout the process, and then what's your exit strategy with it as well.
You want me to go? So yeah, so for example, like we found a deal from one of my cold callers like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it's a 4 acre piece of property. So this is like a true story. Like we just got this under contract about like 2 weeks ago, and it's 4 acres, but it's currently zoned AR2A or yeah AR2A. Ishi, is that right? And
Yeah.
AR2A basically means like
The
you
thumbs up of the GC.
yeah AR2A is like you can build like one unit per 2 acres, and ours is 4 acres. So right now, you can build 2 units on the property. And right now, there's like a mobile home that's abandoned, that's really sketchy with a warrant for some guy's arrest. Like the property owner said that like codes called him and said there was like a dead body. I hate to be morbid, but it's like very sketchy.
It's like pretty condemned.
Yeah, there's like a stolen car on it. So it's just a mobile home on a 4 acre lot. But it's in a good location by and large. It's in Nashville proper. It's a good location. And so the process on that, and so we have that under contract for 150,000. And maybe I think if we closed on it and listed it, my guess is that we could sell that lot for 200,000 is my guess. Or
Mm-hmm.
but let's say we could sell it for 175 as is, right? Because someone else is going to look at it and say I can put one more mobile home or one more house on this thing. So it's really not that awesome of an opportunity today, like today. If you go to the city and
Mm-hmm.
ask to pull a permit, they're going to say you can build one more house and fix your crappy mobile home. Make sense so far?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the value add opportunity is if you can change the zoning from AR2A to let's say like RM20, which means like you can put 20 units per acre. So we can change it
Mm-hmm.
to instead of you can put two crappy mobile homes on it, if you can just change it to you can build 80 units on that same piece of land. Now when you're listing it on the MLS or when you're listing the property, you can say, hey, like, hey, big, huge, like Ryan Homes, gigantic developer, you can build 80 homes here. Are you interested? And now my $150,000 piece of land is now like a $2.5 million piece of land. So like so you can add value to properties by like physically like fixing the house and renovating it and like bringing it up, so putting cute cabinets in, but you can also add value just on paper by changing the zoning and like pulling permits and getting things ready, so you can add value on paper, um, just by like improving land and improving density and pulling permits, etc.
Yeah. And then the way you underwrite, I assume the price at that point is just how much a future unit would trade for.
Right.
And that makes total
You,
sense.
you gotta
How,
you gotta be
go ahead,
be
Ish.
careful though, and sorry to interrupt. You gotta be careful though and do some risk adjustment though, right? So like if you're at like a 20% chance that you're able to get this big rezone through, you still want to cover your butt and you want to have a backup plan. So then that can get you into like covered land plays, and like it's another really cool idea of like, okay, like how can you cover your like interest payments on something while you figure out whether or not you're going to be able to get some increase in density and increase the value 10x, right? Because the best of both worlds,
Mm-hmm.
like let's say we have this 4 acre piece of property and it's got some crappy mobile home on it. Now, if I buy it for 150K and I've got a 12% hard money loan on it, I'm paying $1,500 a month to hold that property while I figure out for one or two, maybe say it takes a year and a half for me to figure out whether the council person is going to approve my rezone to put 40 houses on there, right? That whole time I'm paying $1,500 a month interest and just bleeding money. And I didn't get it for so cheap that I'm going to really get that back if I sell it at the end, right? Like I'll probably break even or I might lose something on it. And either way, it hurts my cash flow. So what if I could get someone, and this was actually Morgan's idea earlier, which I thought was like so genius. It's like, he's like, hey, like, what if we just get someone to like rent that trailer and we tell them, hey, look, like this trailer is super beat up, and you have to fix it up, but like you can make monthly payments on us, $1,500 a month. After 2 years, like the trailer's yours. Like whatever work you do on it, like you keep it. You can haul it off somewhere else. And then like we cover our interest, we get rid of the trailer, like someone's happy and has a home, and then it's a covered land play.
Then worst case scenario, you just have the land with no trailer that would cost money to remove, and maybe they fix the trailer up and leave it, and you have a better trailer. Worst case, or you have the bad trailer, which you're already okay with. So yeah, I think that's a because that is definitely removes all the cash flow constraints, which allow you to do more. I like that a lot. What about like the process of getting something like that? Obviously you guys are just starting the process on this, but you know a lot of people who've done it, and you've gone through some of the entitlement processes as well. How do you go about getting a council person like to actually change the zoning or to like hear you out? Like, what do you do?
Tisha, go ahead.
So yeah, so basically like there's, like Morgan said, like everything starts and ends with codes. Like generally like there's codes, there's planning. This also could vary by jurisdiction, but like for us, it's like, okay, there's codes and there's a zoning. And then like there's zoning, right? And then there's planning. So like these guys that had I went to one of these planning meetings last night, and there was two guys who had a 2-acre property, same zoning as ours, same district, same council person, and they had a meeting
2 blocks away. 2 blocks away.
Right. And I have to go to this meeting because I need to meet the council person. They're always like impossible to get a hold of. And I want to get an idea of like, okay, like how anti or pro development of people in this neighborhood, like what's my experience going to be like? So I went to this meeting, and then basically like, they're just like, okay, boom, like here's the project. They'd already gone through planning. So they already went to planning, and they said, hey, we have this AR2A lot and we want to increase the density to XYZ. This is what we want to build. Boom. So they go through planning. And then basically the council person, like they just need to make their constituents happy. So the council person, like they might have their own opinions, but ultimately like it comes down to the constituents. So like if no one shows up, or if 2 people show up and like those 2 people are cool with whatever you're doing, like the council person, unless they get some blowback from other people, or unless they know other people in the neighborhood are going to have like pushback, like, they just basically go with their constituents. So the most important thing, I think, to getting the council person on your side is getting the neighbors on your side. And you can do that by like preempting it, by knocking door to door, like talking to people and being like, hey, like not saying, hey, we're going to build some big development over there and spooking them, but instead going, hey, like, what do you want to see over there? I know there's like 3 trailers, a stolen car, and like a cracked in and a pile of garbage now. Like, what do you want to see over there? Yeah.
You're just lobbying the neighborhood, which is probably like really smart. Like I know that where I live, there's a big, like, I don't know, I think it's like 12-story apartment going up over here. And I was talking to some guys who've lived in the neighborhood for, their whole life, like 40 years. And they said this project's been stalled for 5 years because basically everyone in the area was like, nah, dude, you're not building this, blah, blah, blah. Then the guys went bankrupt because they couldn't get it through. And then now someone new is building it. And like, that's pretty important.
Yeah. The other thing too, because like we've tried 2 of these, and kind of our story, Chandler, was like we did so well like ripping these little deals that then we were like, let's just do the bigger stuff, because it's like you win on an 80K wholesale, a 30K, 50K, 30K, 50K. It's like, well, I'm just going to be a big syndicator now because everything I was doing was working, So we tried to hit 2 of these and missed on 2 of them in a row. But what I would say too is like your contract should be like looked over by an attorney. But like if your contract protects you, because here's what I would say if I was those guys, those builders, is I would say my contract with the seller needs to say this agreement is contingent upon being able to build 12 units, and I need full approval from the city with full permits before I close. So like your agreement needs to be able to protect you, because like again, like Ishi and I are like small ball guys. Like we're not with like Vanguard or something. Like we can't afford to like take a fat L on a development. So I want my agreement to be contingent upon full approvals from everything, and that's what we need. Unless on this case it's like the price is low enough that like we're okay with it. But let's take this same example deal. Like if we were under contract for $500,000, we would need that to be contingent upon being able to build the 40 units to sell it for 1.5.
Yeah. So how did you pick like the number of like the 80, like, well, I guess it's 20 units per acre or whatever, RM20. Like, is that what you think is likely, or is that just best case scenario, best pro forma?
That's what these guys just got. So these guys got RM15, they're getting, and they're not even doing the full density they could. They're getting 20 units on a 2-acre lot. We've got a 4-acre lot, same zoning, same area.
But also, yeah,
Yeah,
like
so
what
even
if
if you got RM15, you'd be able to put easily 40 units on there with setbacks and everything.
Yeah, but for us, it's like we just need to increase density a little bit. Like this is a good deal if we can get like if we can build 10 units on it. So like I like
Mhm.
doing the conversation of like, hey, like council person, what do you want to see here? You know, try to do like the Stephen Covey win-win and not being like, I'm trying to max density. It's like, what do you want to see here? And then having kind of starting the conversation like that.
I think that's good, and then also like be able to get ahead of it with the people, because the council people, I assume that they're just elected officials, right? So yeah, they just want to get reelected.
Right.
That's all they care about, because they're trying to make it big
Right.
and be on the debates, dude.
Yeah. Hey, you're in Colorado.
But
You gotta worry about your politicians out there right now.
dude, yeah, I don't even know. I don't watch the news, dude. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I actually, I watched the news today. This person I met from Europe sent me like this news thing and was like roasting me for not watching the news. But dude, I gave up TV when I was 7, so I just watch YouTube.
Nice.
That's awesome. Dude, I totally like. I think the news is really bad.
Are you sad about the news? Does it make you upset?
Me?
Sure.
No news. Ishi, you grew up without a TV too. I think no news is definitely important.
It's just like, what good has the news ever done for you? Like, what benefit have you ever gotten from watching the news? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it making you smarter?
None.
Is it making you, is it getting you closer to God? Is it getting you real estate deals? I don't think so.
The news isn't doing any of those things for me, at least.
Right.
I mean, the news only just strikes fear in people. I mean, in my opinion, and it tells you like what's going on. You usually get distracted about too many things that are going on in the world. In my opinion, is like, and people are like, well, what happens if like this stuff's going to affect you? Well, if it's going to affect me, I'm going to hear about it because I'm pretty well connected in the space. And there's other people who consume the news or consume like important things. So I got my attention to be focused elsewhere. I'd rather go run mountains or I don't know, go rock climb or something. What do you guys do for fun in Nashville? Nashville's one of my favorite cities.
Ishi, what do you do for fun?
I don't do. I hang out with my girlfriend and I do deals. That's it.
There's golf here. Chandler, do you golf?
Yeah, I love golf, dude.
Yeah, I used to play a lot. We got golf. We got.
You look like you're good at golf. Let me guess, your handicap's like less than 5 at one point.
Maybe a 6 at like my lowest, maybe.
You and Tyler Vincent should go play because he used to be a scratch golfer.
Yeah, I love that. I've never shot even par. That's like my golf goal is to shoot even. I've shot under par for 9 holes, and I've shot 4 over for 18. That's my best.
That's pretty good.
But we have golf.
My best is like probably like an 82.
I like 82 today. I'd be happy to shoot 82 today. Nashville's a big party city though. That's like kind of what it is. It's very good for like, I'm not a college football guy, but it's really good if you're like college football or if like you like girls that watch like college football. Like sports are so big that like all the girls watch sports in Nashville. So it's very like SEC South, drink some beers, like go to the bar on a Saturday and like day drink and watch sports. That's like huge.
And sing Luke Bryan. Ride mechanical bulls.
Yeah, mechanical bulls.
Yeah, Nashville. I've only been once. I've only been once. It was a good time. I'm actually coming through in beginning of May, end of April. So I'll make sure to hit you guys up.
Give us a heads up. Yeah, we'll set you up. We'll have fun for sure.
So what does that mean? Set me up.
I mean, we'll like find you a cool place to stay. We'll take you out. We'll have a good time.
Sweet. Sounds like a great time.
You can stay in one of our flips, man. You do a live-in flip with us.
Dude, Morgan was telling me about the live-in flip situation. Sounds like it's a great time.
Which one? Well, look.
Which one? The mobile home.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude, so we just rented that out to an awesome family and like I'm so excited. Like I've been sleeping on Morgan's couch for the past week and like I've never been more excited to sleep on Morgan's couch and like not be living in a house, because like we got some awesome renters in it. They got their house just like decimated by this tornado that we had in Nashville, like a week
What?
or two
You
ago.
guys have tornadoes?
Yeah, we have tornadoes, and their house just got like trashed. They lost like all their furniture. The roof came off their house, and they needed a rental. Like they needed a house like as soon as possible. And my buddy had just moved out of the house. I was living in the house, and I was like, all right, like I'll move my stuff out tomorrow, no problem. And moved my stuff out and like gave them a place to stay. And they're just like super awesome tenants. Don't speak a lick of English, but like they're just really good people. Like you can just tell they're super good people and hardworking and honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Do either one of you guys speak Spanish?
I use the
My
translate
Spanish
thing
is
on
like
the phone,
Charles
like
Barkley.
talking to it.
Yeah, I'm like Charles Barkley, like muy bien gracias.
I thought you were gonna say Ray Charles. I was like, that's not quite the same thing, dude.
No.
But yeah, I only know like a couple hundred words of Spanish. I've been to Colombia like way too many times. But so what's new for you guys? Like obviously, like you guys are doing the development. Is there any other new things that you guys are working on? Like do you do stuff outside of real estate, like life coaching or anything in that realm to well round yourself? Or
I've had one coaching client. I've had one coaching client before. I charged him such a low amount that I can't repeat the words on this podcast of how low I charge him, because someone else might want it for the same price. I said, okay. I'll give you one free call, and then I'll give you 3 calls for some ridiculous.
He's cutting out.
Oh, it was that price was so low that he had
Yeah.
his Wi-Fi shut off. He's like, dude, I can't even get that out to the world.
I'll say his story though. He took on one coaching client. If someone was like, "Hey, will you teach me how to do real estate?" His first call, he like sets the guy up on a dialer. Ishi sets the guy up to cold call. In the first call, Ishi cold called with him. He bagged like a 60 or like it was at least a 60K deal on his first coaching call. Literally, like
I remember one of you guys told me that.
Yeah.
And that's insane.
That's obviously we can't guarantee that, but so now Ishi like definitely thinks he's like the best real estate coach ever. The guy already had sales skills, and Ishi was just like, I'll coach you. And so they're on Zoom together. Ishi's on mute, like telling him what to say, and he like bagged a huge deal in his first like hour of cold calling.
Dude, that doesn't happen every time.
Yeah.
That's fucking sick though. So are you guys taking on more coaching clients?
We're not right now, and I feel like Chandler, like what you guys are so good at Level Up is like you guys are so focused and you're so dialed and you guys implement traction so well. We struggle with doing too many things at once and kind of running gunning. So we try to say no to as much stuff as we can because we naturally like aren't as, systematized. But one thing I've been wanting to do is like I would like to give out a free real estate course and just say, look, like this is how to like do a wholesale deal as like a one-man operation. Just to try to give something back, right? Because like real estate people, like we're some of the most overpaid people in like the whole universe. So I thought it'd be nice. I want to do a free course and basically like kind of give like a free how to do your first deal course. That's like a little side project I want to take on.
Sorry guys, I ruined the podcast, my bad.
It's okay, dude. We learned about your incredible cold call training talents.
How much did he make on the deal?
$64,000.
64.
Dude, that's a banger.
Listen.
You changed that guy's life.
I did one free call and I did 3 paid calls. And I'll just say it. I gave him 3 calls for $1,000 total. And I'll never do that again for anyone, but whatever. And on the first paid call, I had everything set up with him, and we went in there. And this guy is a killer. Shout out to Connor DePace. You're a killer. This guy is an absolute killer. Like great sales talent, right? Like couldn't have a better person. He came from the mortgage industry. So perfect student. And I was just like, boom, like set him up. do this, say this, and he just nailed it and just, started bagging monsters.
Is he bagging a lot of deals now?
I mean, yeah, he still does his mortgage stuff, but he actually hit me up recently. He wants to set up a team and stuff. So hopefully I'll hook back up with him. And
So
Won't
if you
you
guys
charge
need
him a little more than $250 an hour?
if you guys need coaching, link in the
no,
description.
no, if you need,
Yeah,
no,
link in the description. Ishi
No.
$250 an
No,
hour.
no,
Everyone
no,
who
no.
watches Chandler's podcast is gonna get a bunch of targeted ads from Ishi being like, "So you
I know Ishi's he's in them with the pixel. He's like, dude, if you're a wholesaler doing less than 100K per month, you gotta hear this. I'm the best cold call coach there's ever been.
Yeah.
He's like, this guy, first hour cold calling, 64K banger, not even good at sales. I taught him everything, 1 hour.
Yeah. Chandler, you tell us what's
That's-
next though, because I know you were talking about doing like a starter course. So like, you tell us what's on the horizon for you.
Yeah, dude, that's a good thing. So we actually did start it. We got, I think, 10 clients in there now. The big thing for us is really getting the back end a little bit more systemized to where when someone comes through level up, you're like, okay, every single person, no matter whether they're extremely active or not active, they all, pretty much within an idea of like what their business looks like. So for me, like that's the big thing I'm implementing this week to where we're going to have ready to go basically as soon as Christmas is done, that every single business is going to have all the same things implemented in their business every single time. Because the thing that happens and like, I think you can fall into the trap of like, hey, people aren't active, people didn't do this. And like, only some people do what you say and not everyone does. But I think that's like I think it's a victim's mentality. And like, you got to take ownership of that and make sure the outcome happens regardless. So that's like the big push for me right now. Cause as you scale a coaching company, like I lose that one-on-one touch with people to where I'm like, hey, you need to make sure like you do these things because if you don't, like you're for sure not going to have success. So being able to take that and distribute it at scale is really what's next. Other than that, it's kind of just like keep building on the team and scaling. But yeah, that's kind of what's next is, learning this digital marketing thing. I want to start doing PPC. I actually have a guy who's running a PPC course for us for teaching everyone how to run PPC ads. And then I might be partnering with someone potentially on like a TV ad agency. So we'll see.
Nice.
But just trying to help people get more leads. And that's the biggest issue right now for most people.
Nice. Yeah. Brent Daniels, who we like, TTP guy, he said like all roads lead to PPC. Like just all roads go there. And we see the biggest people in our market doing PPC. So I think that's the way. But it's kind of like good I think there's definitely like a time and a place for like a grindy, like texting and calling. Like I think that's a good place to start too. I recommend everybody cold call to start, especially if you have like low or like mid-level experience, because like eventually you're going to have to talk to the seller anyways. So if you can like get really comfortable on the phone and really strong in acquisitions and just get your like talks to sellers up, I think cold calling is the best way to start. I feel pretty strongly about that.
I 100% agree. Unless like that guy Ishii was coaching, he probably won't cold call himself very long. He clearly he's good. But if you don't have like extreme levels of sales skills, you're going to need to cold call for a pretty long time to really get your feet wet, in my opinion. I think you'd be unless you have like the resources to basically just hire someone who already has done the job to go out the gate, like you need to just cold call to your first deal. But, I also think if you have that many resources, you're probably going to start, you probably wouldn't start wholesaling. You'd probably just start doing like a fund or a rental business or something like that. So,
yep.
But dude, I appreciate you guys coming on. Is there any like things that you think that you would tell someone who's maybe looking to like do their first land type deal? Like obviously like you guys are taking the transition pretty seriously. You've also had a lot of learning experiences doing it. Like what kind of advice would you give someone who's going to take some of the creative deal strategies you guys talked about today in the video and implement it in their own?
Ask a little more specific. Like if they're trying to like wholesale a piece
like they're doing deals.
They're already doing
Yeah, they're
deals.
doing deals. Maybe they haven't done as many deals, but they came across a piece of land and they're like trying to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah, I would say two things. Like, our friend Paul had this saying. He was like, in 2020 to 2023, or 2020 to 2022, like he was looking for deals, and now in 2023, like he's looking for steals. I really like that saying of like deals could like get you through it when like the market's going up, but when the market's going down, you need to like look for steals. I really like that saying. So
Hmm.
the first, and then another saying he has that I love is like the first step is stealing the dirt. Like I love that saying. The first step is just stealing the dirt. So the only other thing I would add is like after step one, steal the dirt, is like if you can wholesale a piece of land for 40K, let's say, you can probably call a builder or a developer and say, hey, like, let me partner with you on this and stay in the deal with you. And we can do the deal at cost. So if you have it for 100, you could sell it for 140. You might instead say to the developer, hey, like, let's put this in a 50 like LLC at 100, and give me half the equity or 40% of the equity or 30% of the equity, and let me just like watch you run this play. um I think that would be a
All
big
big workout.
recommendation, is like just get around people that are smarter. And if you can be in the deal with someone and watch them run the play, I think that's huge. Like, and one last thing, like I actually was working for some like real estate developers. That was like my first real estate experience, and I think that's super important too. It's like just being around people that are a lot smarter than you. I think it's just a shortcut. It's like a quick hack.
Yeah, for sure. I think like if you like that was actually like my dad's advice to me before I started a business is like go and work for someone for a year doing what you want to do, then start that business. And I think you get to see how things are supposed to work at a high level. That way you don't screw it up. So I think you kind of need to do that, you know?
Yeah,
I like that advice a lot.
yeah. Because here's the thing, right? It's like, how smart would someone get if they were working for me or working for you, Chandler? It's like they're gonna learn so
Yeah.
much. Like the other thing is like we'll tell you everything for free. That's another thing people don't understand. Is like, okay, like there might be some type of paywall or something, but like once you're friends with someone, you have a real relationship with them. Like if they've made you money
Yeah.
before, like they'll tell you all their secrets, and I think that's really
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is like if you can foster a friendship, like every person who we pay, it's like we try to foster a friendship with them. Because if you become, you don't have to be like hang out like on the weekends, but like if you just become friends and like past that, like, hey, I can call you at 8 p.m. and you'll answer barrier, then that's like when you know that you've like actually built that relationship pretty strong. I
Yep.
like it. Sweet. Ishi, you got any words you'd say to anyone who watched this show on you guys' questionable single family to triplex, 3 play families? Anyone trying to do any plays like that? I'm just kidding. No,
Who's watching? Like, are these people who are starting out, or are these people that are at like 500,000 trying to scale to 1 to 2 million? Like, who's the average person that's watching this? Because I feel like it's just going to depend on who I'm talking to, what they need to hear.
yeah, you're gonna be talking to people who are all over the place. A lot of people who are doing deals, and some people who are newer.
If you're newer, if you're starting out, you need to just like the most important thing is you just need to call. Like you personally need to call. You don't need to hire callers. You don't need to design anything. You don't need to build anything. Like Morgan and I said this on Brent Daniels' podcast. Like we'll say it every time. Like got to call. You just need to call. You just need to call. You just need to call. If you're not making at least $500 a day, like you're just being lazy, and it's just going to take you longer to get a deal. If you don't have a deal, your only job, this is a Morganism. If you don't have a deal, your only job is to get a deal. If you don't have a job, your job is to get a job. If you don't have a deal, your only job is get a deal by any means necessary. You got to drive, you got to call, you got to call. You just got to like put in the volume. But like beyond that, like I can't really speak to anything beyond like a $1 million a year revenue at like whatever 60-70% margin business, because that's just like I can't really give any advice beyond that. I can give what I think you would do or what like I think we're gonna do, but
Yeah, Chandler,
you
what's
know
your one piece of advice?
For who?
for someone who's like they've done like a deal or two, but like they're still like kind of like grinding it out?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like three main phases for most people who wholesale. Most people aren't going to make it past the the second phase, which is like around 100, 150K a month, just because it usually doesn't make sense because you're making enough money to where you don't need any more money. And then like the headaches of scaling do suck. But I mean, if you're making between like less than 50K a month, you really just need to systemize yourself out and to get yourself in the sales role. And like, you just need to do sales calls all day. Usually that's usually the best skill set that the person who owns the company has, is just sales. And they need to optimize everything else out so they can just do that. And then if you're trying to go like for where you guys are at $1 million, is you have to either add leverage, or you need, which basically is two ways, is either going to be deal size or people, and going the volume route. So you guys are adding leverage by doing the deal size thing, which means that one deal a month that is $200,000, $300,000, $1 million is going to go way further than if it was $30,000, right? So you take a different approach. So basically, like for y'all, I think, in my opinion, if you're going to go the development route, it's you have the base that's going to pay the bills and make sure you guys are paid, while the cash stacks up over a long time period for these 18 months, 24-month plays. And then in 2 years from now, when you've stacked up enough of these 18, 24-month plays, you're just going to start closing those. And then it's about systemizing that out. So, I mean, that's what I think you need to do, is basically add leverage, and you have to pick the leverage you're going to do, which I think you guys are picking a leverage that's a route, and you just you'll eventually just fully commit to that, and that will be your business. And you'll probably stop wholesaling for the most part.
We're trying to stop, man. It's hard. Just want that
you
next
just
deal,
gotta scratch
man.
that itch, dude. You look like you need it.
Just need another deal, man.
Yeah, dude, I love it.
Yeah. Well, hey, Chandler.
gentlemen,
Yeah,
That'll be the thumbnail right there. That's the thumbnail.
Yeah, Chandler. We really.
Ishi just like.
Go ahead, Chandler.
Go ahead.
No, you.
No, you're good. I'm just fucking around.
I was gonna say, yeah, like we really appreciate you, and like when did we join the Level Up? 7 months ago. We joined Level Up.
I don't even. It was. I think it was March. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like a little more.
We really appreciate it. Like we learned so much. And we went to the physical mastermind in Colorado, and that was awesome. So like we really appreciate you, and like we're so much better off like having you and having like some systems for like our KPIs and tracking our numbers. Like we really appreciate it. Like you left us way better than you found us. So we really, really appreciate you.
Appreciate you. This is Morgan. Yeah. This is Morgan right here doing his special talent, making my insecurities feel okay.
Come on, man. Come on.
Hey, but I want to show. No, wait, but I need Gino to show face more. Like you got to Gino. Hey, like Gino, like follow me on Instagram. Like what's up with Gino? He's got to call me more.
He's got to call me more. What were you gonna say, Ishi?
I was gonna say, look, like if anyone is considering whether or not to like join Level Up or check out Level Up, like you have to do it. The biggest pieces of value that we got from it are like before Level Up, we kind of had KPIs, but not really. Like we didn't track them right. So like Chandler gave us like KPIs, just plug and play and like track. Like, hey, look, these are the KPIs to track. Like I didn't need to think too much about it. It's just like, okay, we just track them. So like, boom, we had KPIs. We had visibility into our business. They were actually like staying on top of and keeping updated. And then like how to actually like hire and train and manage people. Like, hey, this is the job description. This is the role. This is the job posting. This is how to like hire, train, and manage people. Like those two things alone, like, oh my God, like it was just so like, that was huge for us. So like, thank you for that. And like, there's a million other valuable things and like so much else that someone could get from Level Up. But those are the two things that stand out to me that like we took away, that like no matter how we pivot in our business, whether we're going into development, like whatever we're doing, like we will always have those tools in our tool belt.
Yeah, I think you got to have them.
You're muted, Morgan.
Morgan was muted. Yeah.
I got nothing.
Oh, you got nothing? Yeah. I remember specifically our conversation, and y'all were trying to hire a lead manager, and I asked you guys, I said, how often do you milk your network? And Morgan's like, never. And he's like, genius. And then y'all got like a bunch of like applicants or whatever from just social media. And the next post I made on my social media, he just sends me like a milk jug emoji, and that's all he sends.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
hilarious.
Nice.
Yeah, that was the other thing too. Like, in even like we know so many little hiring like tips and tricks now. And even like people that Ishi and I, that are in our market, they're like, because Ishi, remember Josh was like, I want to hire an acquisition person. And now like because like we've learned so much from you about hiring that now like we can even like give our buddies some tips. He's like a big developer who's never had an acquisition person, and now it's like we have all your templates, Chandler. We have all like the quick PDFs to send out, all like the tests to send people. Like we know like the avatar of what to look for. So like another thing about like Level Up is like you learn a bunch of like little tips and tricks, like little hiring things that maybe isn't like going to be on like a marketing flyer, but like you learn a ton of like little ins and outs just from like hanging out with you and like listening to what everybody else is doing like in the group.
Yeah. If you do want to go the route of scaling, hiring is like the most important piece. It's like, why do it yourself when you could just hire someone else to do it? You know, like there's a lot of things that I was actually thinking about this today. It's like, there's a lot of things that happen. I'm like, I don't really even know how this actually works just because I hired someone to do it. And if they left, I'd have to get them to tell someone else how to do it because I don't know. And that's just, there's a lot of things that are like that. And I think as you scale your business, if you go the route of, you know, making a wholesale company or whatever business it is, hiring is the most important skill that you have to master. But sweet. I appreciate you guys. I look forward to talking to you guys again, and I will see you guys in Nashville in May.
Thanks, buddy.
Safe
Good beast,
travels,
Chandler.
Ishi.